Hey, Laura J here with some naked truth today. I want to say that our emotions have been weaponized and that the legal society has ultimately converted what is lawful into what is legal, which is not equal nor the same, though it is presented to be. And that is where we must actually do our due diligence in order to decode that which has become the Pinocchio paradox, where you can say something such as, my nose grows, that actually is true, but not because it is a lie that is not necessarily true in the moment that it is stated, for it was true and that then made it not a lie. But that is where we must see that nonfiction and what is real have been confused and convoluted to be said to be synonymous when that too is not true. So, all of this makes me think about what I experienced in the last few weeks and also this day when I did a live replay with one of my participants in the special practice pilot program, where the conversation diverged from the content that I was content to share to then talking about something that not all would dare talk about, because it is the split in consciousness between the 3D and 5D. Well, what we came to see, and I expressed verbally, is that the 3D is actually the 2D, for it is an attack on our wills that has been happening over the tills, which are the stores that are calling for our attention, energy, time, effort, and money, which are the team that we are playing with, energetic resources that make up the lives we lead or have led for us. Because if we do not exercise our free will for the sake of doing what is best for the group will, then we are actually boxing ourselves into a binary 2D experience, you see? Well, the 2D, the 2, and the 5 are in reversal to each other, which mean that instead of it being the 3D, 5D split, what if it were the 2D, 5D split, with 4D being our mental constructs? And if we're mentally occupied, we're no longer present in the now, where all of our power exists, because that is where the 3D is, where we live. Now the 5D, what if that was when we saw that we need to bring the intuition into the frame, where the guru within becomes the tuition that our soul had paid ahead of time, ahead being just one aspect of the whole. And so the soul is actually not up there at all, but inside of us. And when we actually connect the aspects and components of the inner, individual needs necessitate emotional resilience, resonance, and respect. The acronym for inner, it makes so much sense. Inner sense, the guardian of inner sense, the guardian of innocence, as Carolyn Mace describes in Sacred Contracts, which I then also describe in Fully Committed, the Sacred Sojourn of Now. That is the sacred side of the child archetype, which is one of the 4 survival archetypes that we must see are being preyed upon. For the prostitute, saboteur, and the victim are the other 3 of the 4 that we have in the store that are being sold and preyed upon. For if we let the guardian of choice, the guardian of self-esteem, the guardian of innocence, and the guardian of choice, I feel like I already said that, but I'm doing this live, so I did the best I could, and if you want to see what is real, you can read Carolyn's original copy, or you can read my adaptation of the original, which then becomes an original of mine own, because I have referenced that which I felt to be valuable information and claimed the right to do so. I did not need to because I did not reference more than the fair use policy with hers, and also with another whom I actually had to put on notice to say that I believed that being deprived of the ability to include the words that I felt would benefit those who would read my words that included those would ultimately cause harm and loss to the content and quality of my work, and also to the experience of the readers, where it was not contested and therefore included, despite a contestation that said I don't want to draw attention to my books, which I thought was quite unreasonable, and so I expressed that in a lawful notice, making claims and putting on notice the ones named in the claims that were done via lawful notice, and so it was that I got to do what would not have been permitted if I had not pushed the limits. I did get permission from Marianne Williamson's team, I am grateful to say, to be able to include our deepest fear with her blessings, and for that I am incredibly grateful. And if you are not familiar with that poem that she wrote in A Return to Love, I would highly encourage you check that out, either in Fully Committed, or you can just type in Our Deepest Fear, for that is where we draw near to the fire of the passion of our own hearts, to see that we must start, to see that the 5D is when we bring the I of intuition into the je suis, the I am, presence within us, and the hands that we command the pen with. For if we are carrying arms, we cannot command the pen. You see how it works when we are converted into less in the name of becoming more, so that then the wars can continue and rage on, just like in Frozen, which is very symbolic of the heart walls that have kept us frozen, our emotions unable to move, which is what energy in motion must do in order to not brew and then create an explosion in the now moment that shows up in order for the momentums of all of that which was left in a not now moment show up to be remedied and moved and resolved. The resolution is where we re-soul, you, shun, for the ions that we intentionally direct instead of shun for longer than we have already done. You see how it works when we call ourselves into greater wholeness? We must move the energies in motion that got stuck in a not now moment, and then we became frozen. And that has been part of this whole psyop that has been designed to divide and conquer us, who think there is going to be this great split between the 5D and the 3D, and there will be, to an extent, but it is actually one dimension lower, into the one of binary options of yes or no. Those are your choices. You can check the box for yes or no. But in between those two options are so many others that are not expressed unless we claim the right to exercise our free will. Exercise being a physical activity, or is it exorcism of the mental constructs of the entities that would keep us bound to a reality that does not serve us if we are not present? Present into the moment where all the momentums of energies in motion that got suppressed, repressed, depressed, compressed, denied, and that we tried to hide before within the heart walls that kept it all under wraps. Well, all of those emotions will need to rise. And as they do, if we do not clear out the debris, well, then our heart walls could hurt us. And that is part of this whole psyop. Our emotions are friends that we must make allies, which is a war term, so maybe that is not the best one to use. For the W of law is the water, which is the admiralty and maritime law, which converts a man or woman into a soldier or some other title, status, or personage that makes them more for carrying arms for another's war. when we must see the spiritual warfare that is at play now, and see how we must actually not just get offended by a woman standing naked in the truth, sitting actually in this moment since I am enjoying a bath, cleaning myself and saying, at last, I will just be myself authentically and ask you to vulnerably do the same in your own way and claim the right to be who you are and whose you are, realizing that there is no difference when the source of all includes all with the exclusion of none. Therefore, the one that we all come from and return to and only feel separate from in the meantime, that is where we actually see how the intuition within me is the same within you, except for maybe more veiled, for that is what evil does. Veils the truth. E-veil, energy veils over top of what is true in order to make it not so, like the Pinocchio paradox. I thought so. Leave a comment down below to let me know what this Naked Truth time means to you, for you, and what you will do with it. I look forward to reading those comments and send you blessings and prayers for strength to be willing to be naked and vulnerable and authentic, for that is where your power is. Even if the story of not enough has plagued us all for long enough, that we must simply say, being who and what I authentically am is more than what I could be if I tried to be something other than I am and had to step out of this nakedness in order to pretend that a suit made me more, when the truth is that when wearing a suit you can hide cards up the sleeves. And I say, in a game in gambling, the house always wins is a common adage. So if that is the case, and I wish to win within the kingdom of my own domain, where asking the questions allows me to refrain from incriminating myself by dropping my standards to status instead of stand, I claim the right to take off the suits and to stand naked in the truth and on the truth, for I know how to do so lawfully. And if you don't, you must start to learn how to do your part as you are, not needing to become something more in order to actually become less. For if someone takes away that status that you worked so hard for, your identity crumbles. And that will be coming for us all as the systems reset. So, now that we know that already did, I just reiterate the fact, well, let us instead get more comfortable being who and whose we authentically are without needing to let the religions divide us and make us think that my BS is better than yours, or that your BS is better than mine. Well, your belief systems and my belief systems might compete, but if we drop those heart walls that have frozen us and the emotions that they store within, then we actually can build bridges where before there were walls. I hope this serves you. I look forward to hearing from you. Much love, Laura J. Namaste. Namago for today.